Welcome to Life L'Chaim. On today's show, host Lee Lazerson talks with Daniel Ackerman and Raina Rose Exelbeard about the organization Future Leaders for Israel and about what the organization does. We'll be right back after these messages.
We're joined today by co-founder and vice director of Future Leaders for Israel, Dan Ackerman. Dan, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
What is FLI?
So FLI stands for Future Leaders for Israel, and we are the organization that basically brings all the Israel students together. FLI is the organization that creates the bridge between between student organizations on college campuses and facilitates student-led cross-campus programming and philanthropic events.
Mm-hmm. You're a recent college graduate. You graduated last year?
In May, this past
May. And how long has FLI been in existence?
FLI has been around for about 2.5 years now. It originated as Florida Loves Israel. We did 2 programs, and after its wild success, we saw a demand to take it elsewhere, and we decided to expand and professionalize and evolve it into the new organization, Future Leaders for Israel.
So how does somebody at your age, because there's certainly a lot of people talk about some college kids are very involved, some college kids are not very involved, they have different motivations. Mm-hmm. How did you get motivated to start this organization?
Well, I was very involved since my freshman year. I did a lot of work with Jewish activities on campus and Israel stuff, and I've been on a lot of programs and conferences, and to Israel. I took a year off. I went to Israel before college, and I saw a lot of different organizations and a lot of ways that they run things, and myself and a couple of our members from the pro-Israel group Knowles for Israel at FSU realized that there was no organization out there that was focused on bringing together all the students, both leadership and students who are looking to get involved, mm-hmm. and have this program be something that is led by the students. So we decided to just fill this void and create a conference that literally brings together all these student leadership within the state of Florida at the time, plus new students who are just looking to get educated or aware of what's going on in Israel.
But why the need?
Why the need? Well, every student group operates in its own little silo, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, we are all in this together. And we feel that students get caught up with their own campus, and we realize that's extremely important to facilitate cross-campus programming and bring the students together from different places.
But I guess my point is that you could have chose Save the Whales. You could have chosen many different organizations to involve yourself in. Yeah. But you chose an organization that dealt specifically with support for Israel. Mm-hmm. So why did you and the people who you started this organization with, why did you feel the need to bring this umbrella organization in support of Israel?
Well, personally, I can say I am Jewish, and I lived in Israel prior to college, and I've seen a lot of different things, and I've had a lot of experiences growing up. And coming to college, I wanted to be a part of something that I felt a visceral connection to. Mm-hmm. And through the Jewish engagement, I got involved into activism for Israel. And I found myself around like-minded individuals, young students like myself, who wanted to make a change, make a difference, make an impact. And we wanted to reach out to young people, and we saw that students on other campuses were not networked with each other. We're not aware of what each group on each campus is doing, when at the end of the day, we are doing activism for a similar cause. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to create some program that physically brings people together so that they could learn from each other, students can teach each other, and they can network, and we could be stronger and more effective in what we're doing for Israel on a more national scale, as opposed to just our campus with small events that come and go.
But was there a story that wasn't being told on campus in support of Israel?
There's a lot of stories that are being told, I feel, amongst the different campuses, but the main story that we wanted to start to write mm-hmm. was how we're all working together, and we're all on the same page, and we're connected, and we are all focusing our goals to a common, larger awareness of Israel, what's going on in Israel, what Israel has to offer to the world, and a lot of organizations are doing activism for Israel, but like I said earlier, there isn't an organization that is student-led that focuses on bringing together all of these students to work together, to have a common voice together, and have a strong impact through being united.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that, a study that was done by the Pew organization that talked about how support for Israel among the millennial generation, your generation, my children's generation, that is waning. And we had a professor in that discussed the study that addressed to say, he was a college professor, he was on campus, and he was seeing, no, that's not the case. He sees the difference that student organizations are making in support of Israel. But yet there are many colleges, campuses that different voices, negative voices towards Israel get to tell their story with a bigger megaphone. Why do you think that is? That they get to use that some of the negative organizations towards Israel get to have a bigger voice than what pro-Israeli groups have.
I think it's the common phrase that no news is good news, and we're trying to change that with Fly in showing people that the good things that the students are doing is more newsworthy than the things that are negative, and it's
so when you were on campus. So when you were on campus, you didn't see, were there any negative events towards Israel? You said that that's wrong. I gotta try and change that. Were those some of your motivations?
Well, half of my years in school, we didn't really have a negative presence. It kind of grew towards or appeared towards the end of my college years, and those are small yet vocal groups of people. But funny enough, with the Fly program, there really wasn't, the shocking thing, I'll tell you, that most people they're shocked by, is that we came up with Fly not as a reaction. It was actually a completely proactive effort in that we just wanted to do something good. It wasn't as if we saw something negative happen and we were taken aback and we thought, we got to do something about this. And there was a study that came out.
Well, let's, before we get into that, I want to take a break here. And we're going to talk about a little bit more about your organization, more in depth, some of the events that you hold, and what your goals are for the future.
For sure,
okay.
Definitely.
We'll be right back. We're back with Dan Ackerman, co-founder and vice director of Future Leaders for Israel. Dan, I know when we were talking, because you're a recent college graduate and you work with college students across the nation for your umbrella organization, I want to delve into a little bit more about what you've seen on campus that really is a genesis for why Future Leaders for Israel has had some success. So share with us some of those issues that you've encountered, you've seen on campus.
Well, I remember the first thing that I remember seeing with an anti-Israel presence on our campus. There were students in the free speech area, with flags and signs and microphones, and you could hear it throughout the student union. And I remember up until then we didn't have much of a presence on campus trying to detract from Israel. And I remember seeing all these students, and it's a little bit of you're taken back, you're taken aback because when you see someone that's going against something that you stand for so strongly, it's a rude awakening, I guess you could say. And I remember our president at the time, she ran right over there of Knowles for Israel. She jumped up on the rock next to them, and she shouted out to everyone in the circle. She said, "Hi, I'm Lana. I'm from Knowles for Israel. And we are having an event tonight for getting involved with Knowles for Israel. If you'd like to learn more about what's going on in the Middle East, international affairs, culture, the conflict, we'd be happy to have you come out." And seeing someone jump up on the rock and take an offensive stance and not just stand there and go back and forth with these people and getting emotionally worked up and frustrated about things was really inspiring. And I remember that moment carried me through. And they've had events and anti-Israel events, or they've come to other events and try to disrupt the speaker or have panels with different pictures and handouts, and they've had a couple of anti-Israel speakers come that I've attended. And there's a difference between reading something on the news, reading something in the paper, hearing about it on TV, and then being at the event with a character like Norman Finkelstein, for example, and hearing certain things, it kind of changes. It gets you more invested when you're there and you see these things. And so after seeing a lot of different events and speakers, it kind of inspired me more to be more active.
And I know from the conversations that we've had off camera, you've decided to take, a different tact for your organization, in which you wanted to be more proactive instead of reactive. So share with us that thought process of why you want to take that position, and then what are some of the events that you hold that promote your message?
Well, when it comes to being proactive, we've learned that even though other people are going to write negative op-eds against you or put up flyers or try and throw you off your trajectory in the newspaper, you have to stay focused on what you're doing, and you can't put too much of your time going back and forth with them, because then you lose sight of what your goal is. And so we learned through the planning of the first Fly conference, after it happened, there were statistics that came out that researched through the ICC, which is the Israel on Campus Coalition, 2 years of research, 2010 to 2012, 2,300 pro and anti-Israel events on over 180 college campuses. And they found through their research that the #1 pro-Israel event in the country for visibility, impact, and support was our Fly conference. And now when we did this program, we weren't trying to set any records or get this attention or that. We just tried to do something good. And through these efforts, we realized that by focusing on doing positive things with the students and not necessarily getting sidetracked, that we were having a real change. And what they highlighted in this article was that, which they had in bold actually, was that when we make the issue about the detractors, they win and we lose. Because at the end of the day, it's really about getting your message out there in a proactive and offensive way, because the second you have to explain yourself to people, you've already sort of lost the battle. And so, granted, you have to respond when necessary. You can't just completely be silent on certain things, but there is an effectiveness to staying focused on the proactive nature of our programs.
So what goes on at an FLI event?
So at a Fly event, now Future Leaders for Israel, it's usually a 2 to 4 day conference, and it's student-led. So the students
from all over the country will come?
It's hosted at one university. For example, this year, Owls for Israel at Florida Atlantic University is hosting the program. They went through an application process, and we selected them. And so Owls for Israel is spearheading the program. They work with their Hillel in part. It's a huge support system. If it wasn't for the Hillels, it would be very difficult to pull it off. We had a lot of support our first year, and that was very integral. However, the students from the Pro-Israel group lead the initiative. They do all the fundraising. They plan the educational sessions. They pick what speakers they want to bring. They book the hotels. They pay for the gas money for students. It's basically a massive management, organizational, and sort of entrepreneurial project where they're leading the initiative. And so you bring last year we had 150 students come to the University of Florida. They did an excellent job. And not only are you having big speakers, last year we had Carl Bernstein, the previous year we had Renan Gissin, Yishai Fleischer. You also have students leading breakout sessions, which you don't see. And you have young people, 18, 19, 20 years old, teaching their fellow students, the fellow college youth, what they're doing on their campuses and what's being effective, what's not effective, as opposed to just having some big name speaker come in. It's very grassroots. It's very focused on these students.
Is there any pushback from the university hierarchy, or are they completely in support of these kind of events?
The first year when we did it at Florida State, we had a lot of support from resource centers. Our Vice President of Student Affairs actually came and spoke at our closing ceremony, and she talked to how amazing it is to have student initiatives like this coming from the college campus. And that was a huge boost to what we were doing. And also last year at UF, the student body president and vice president spoke at the Shabbat dinner on Friday night. So there's a lot of support from the universities, and the reason being is that it's a positive, fun, proactive event, and it tries to steer away from the negative controversy that you'll find through a lot of other organizations. And granted, that might arise, but if we stay focused on what we're doing and being proactive and on the offensive, we are succeeding.
Very good. How can our viewers find out more about FLY?
So they could just go to www.fli.org. We have a Facebook page, Future Leaders for Israel, and we're keeping people updated through there and doing a lot of good work. So
very good.
Stay posted.
Dan, thank you very much for joining us today. We're going to be right back with Raina Rose Exelbeard, who is co-president for Owls for Israel, right after these messages. We're now joined by Raina Rose Exelbeard. Raina, you are co-president of Owls for Israel, which is Florida Atlantic University. Tell us about your motivations and what Owls for Israel does.
So my motivations, I grew up in a Jewish home in Memphis, Tennessee.
Right.
And when
that one Jewish home in Memphis, Tennessee?
You know, everybody always says that, but surprisingly, we actually have a pretty strong, vibrant Jewish community.
Very good.
Especially in Memphis. My freshman year of college, I went on Young Judaism Year Course program where I was abroad in Israel, and I'd always loved Israel growing up, going to, you know, sleepaway camp and being active in my Memphis Jewish Community Center. But it wasn't until I came back from Israel that I really recognized my passion for it. One day...
What transpired?
I guess when you live somewhere for a year, it just makes you, it gives you more stories and experiences and memories to support something that I guess has always been a central part of not just like Judaism, but now as an adult, my identity. Mm-hmm. The first week on campus at FAU, there was a student who I overheard was saying, you know, all these comments about Israel that just, they were very sensitive to me. They weren't accurate. And when I was in Israel, I had taken a course called the David Project, where I'd actually seen videos of how, you know, these sort of things happen on campuses all the time. But I kind of had this like minute where, you know, I said, I know that these things happen, but these things don't happen on my college campus. And so I engaged...
And your college campus is a college campus in one of the most highly populated Jewish areas in the United States, if not the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so immediately I engaged the student, and after about 30 minutes, you know, he went his way, and I went to go my way, and I felt this little tap on my shoulder. And sure enough, it was the Israeli fellow sponsored through the Jewish Federation, who worked out of the Hillel organization. Mm-hmm. And she said, you know, we need an Israeli advocacy intern, and you're hired. And from there, it was, you know, very smooth sailing. We planned lots of events on our campus. We reached out to the LBGQT community, and everything was great until I came home one Shabbat, and on my door was an eviction notice. And when I read the content of the notice, it had said that, you know, Israel kicks people out of their homes for no reason, and that I now was being kicked out of my dorm room for no reason. And as an active leader on campus, I know what a process it is to get a flyer approved, to just hang up. So the fact that this hate was taped to my door, I couldn't believe that, you know, anyone gave them permission to have such an activity.
And there was significant controversy over this because it was tacitly endorsed by the university administration. They really did nothing of significance to stop it from happening.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I think the real issue was miseducation. Mm-hmm. And that's honestly, a big part of why I'm so passionate is because I understand that there are lots of people out there who are miseducated. Even some of the smartest speakers, or even students who may come off like they don't know anything at all. You'd be really surprised to find out what they do and don't know. And I found that this commitment to education is something that has definitely carried me through college, and is something that's definitely going to carry me into a career post school.
Very good. So Owls for Israel has you earned the conference, the National Conference for Future Leaders of Israel. What went into the application process, and what did you hope to accomplish with this event?
So the application process consisted of an application, a video on why our school is most deserving, and it also entailed a few interview sessions. And as I said before, it's bringing Fly to our campus is just such an amazing opportunity for us to educate students in ways that we could have never reached them before. As a student organization on campus, yes, we work with other student organizations such as the Black Student Union, the Kimball Creole, the Haitian Club on campus, the LBGQT organization, and a big part of bringing Fly to our campus is gives us an opportunity to not only have these smaller events, with the organizations I named before during the school year, but it now gives us a platform to bring them in and really teach to others what it is that they learn from us. And, I just took an algebra test last week. I got 110, and, I'd never done so well ever in math in my life. And I realized, what I did differently that time was I'd actually tutored somebody else in what I had learned. And I think that's also one of the most special things about Fly is you're bringing all of these students from different campuses, different wealths of knowledges, backgrounds, experiences, and you're putting them in front of other students who are of like mind. And I think we'll see, I would say campus programming is already at a high in terms of Israel activism, but I think you'll really see it transition into more educational programmings, more focused on bringing campuses together as opposed to focusing on just one. This year, the Future Leaders for Israel Conference is happening in Pittsburgh in addition to Florida. And so, what we need is we need philanthropists. We need people to donate their time. We need their resources. We need their connections. Do you know someone who runs an Israeli company? Do you know someone in America who's in a part of an Israeli initiative? Because these raw things are what bring people to our movement.
Very good. We got about 15 seconds left. How can people get in touch with you?
Great. You can reach out to me through LinkedIn or Facebook. My email is rainarosex@gmail.com.
Very good.
Thank
Raina,
you.
very nice to meet you. Very nice. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition. For more information on our show, please visit us on the web at tolifelchaim.com. I'm Lee Lazerson. Thank you very much for joining us. And to life, l'chaim.